In this video, I show you some of the proofs that Microstream is a very performant framework, and those proofs also include a scientific one. And of course, performance is important in many of your applications, and it is especially nice if you can have that performance by just using a framework like Microstream without the need to do a lot of tuning of your queries and spend a lot of time on making your application performant. On the website, we have a rather bold statement saying that Microstream is up to 1,000 times faster than the classic JPA and database approaches. But can we prove that? For sure, we can. And not only we have done that proof. So let's have a look at how we can convince you that Microstream is really a performant framework for your solution. First of all, we have the bookstore performance demo, which contains a rather elaborated dataset with a few millions of records, and we have various queries to see how good or how bad certain frameworks perform. When it is a simple query, like a paginated retrieval of a table, the difference is not that much and JPA is like 10 times slower only. But a more complex query like this one, where you have 15 tables joined with very restrictions, then the difference can be up to 180 times. But we have also assembled a white paper on the performance of Microstream, where we cover various aspects. So let's have a look at that paper itself. This performance white paper does not only focus on reading, like it was the case with the bookstore performance demo. There is still a section on reading data, and I'm also using the bookstore data model for that, but this time the reading is done in pure Java SE, so no Spring Boot or Vaadin application, just pure focused on how we can retrieve the data. And not only Hibernate is tested there, but you also have the JDBC as example next to it, so we can make a comparison between the two of them. But not only reading data, also writing data, because in a typical application you also write data to the database or to your data storage. And for that case, we are trying to load 2.8 million records from a CSV file and put that into the storage. The white paper discusses the setup, the results, and you also have some best practices which are described there. You can read, of course, all the details in the white paper, but let us quickly go over the results here in this presentation. First of all, the write performance, how well does each framework perform to store those 2.8 million records. Loading the data itself took about 8 seconds, and then Microstream took about 40 seconds on top of those loading time to store the data again to a data storage. JDBC 94 and Hibernate 160. So you see that Hibernate needs more time because it does need to do the mapping and a few additional other things that JDBC does not do. Of course, Hibernate is easier to use than JDBC. For reading, a simple query, which is just a paginated retrieval of one single table. There you can see that Microstream takes quite some time, especially if you compare it to JDBC. It is still faster than Hibernate, but you see the green block is loading and connecting to the data storage, which means that most of the time Microstream for the first query spends in loading the data, because actually the query time of the data itself is only 20 milliseconds, which is faster than JDBC, which is 130, Hibernate 140, and because there you have that external system where the data needs to be retrieved from. If you go to a complex queries, which includes like joining 10 to 15 tables with a few complex additional requirements, restrictions, then you see that the result is even more obvious that Microstream is faster. Here we included for Microstream the lazy loading, so it loads the data only when you do the query, and even then it is much faster than JDBC and Hibernate, which took here a lot of time to get the data. The second time you query the same data, Microstream has already the lazy loaded data in memory, and you see it drops to an astonishing 5 milliseconds to retrieve the data, whereas JDBC and Hibernate still took more than 2 seconds to retrieve the data. But there is also some independent evidence that Microstream is very fast. The people of the University of Bamberg wanted to verify our claim that we are up to 1,000 times faster than the JPA solution. So they also took the bookstore demo, but they also based their findings on an official benchmark, the TPC-C specification. And their conclusion can be written in this paper. You can download it from our website, and their conclusion is that Microstream is up to 420 times faster than the JPA solution, not 1,000 times, but it is still very fast. Microstream is lightning fast, the fastest things that you can ever have in your application. Thank you for watching this video and enjoy using Microstream. Bye.